Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film Despicable Me 2. Gru, who has, since adopting those three adorable little girls, has started to become more of a parent and softened up as a villain, and has decided to retire as a villain and basically raise the girls full time and then start making jams and jellies until the anti-villain league comes and asks him if he will help them defeat a major villain who has used a giant magnet, literally a giant magnet, and stolen one of their research labs, which has a very evil formula that will turn any animal or anything that gets injected to it to a crazy evil purple creature. So Gru has to go work for the good guys with the sidekick that the anti-villain league gives him, who is Lucy, voiced by Kristen Wiig, and they have to go in together and find out who this villain is while they are also falling in love. And the minions fall under various comedic pratfalls. One of the things that works about both this film and the last Despicable Me movie, it's basically about the growth of Gru, the character. The major complaint on most sequels, and it started with James Bond sequels, but it's happened with superhero sequels and kept going, and it's like a common complaint about sequels, is it's more about the villain than the hero. And the fact that we don't even know who the villain is for a large majority of the film lets it more be about Gru's search for romance and him growing even more as a character than it is really about this villain. And I think that's kind of what makes this film so good and not falling under the usual sequel traps, because if this was just an adventure film and he had the kids and it really wasn't about him growing as a character, I don't think this would be as good as it is. The thing about Illumination Entertainment, the animation studio who makes the Despicable Me films, is they're only their fourth film. I think their best films are the Despicable Me films. And they really kind of make like very mainstream, like CBS 8 p.m. comedy kind of movies. And that's really not something I like. I can understand why people get annoyed by the Despicable Me movies and the Minions and the whole deal of it. When most adults or people my age want to talk about cartoons, they want to talk about the subversive, they want to talk about Adult Swim, Adventure Time regular show. They're not really into things that are far more kid-centric. And I think Despicable Me, quite like Phineas and Ferb, kind of crosses that line that a lot of shows have not been able to, where it's very much kid humor, it's very much safe. I don't look at this as in any way subversive whatsoever. In its own style, it's very good at being very safe, kid-friendly comedy. When I see an animated movie, I'm not like, I need it to appeal to me, like it needs to like talk to me directly. I feel like that almost sounds like sticking my nose up in the air, like, oh, I won't like this movie unless it appeals to me as an adult. A lot of these very kid-oriented animated films, usually I find annoying, usually I don't like them, but for whatever reason I like the Despicable Me movies. They are kind of more about character than a lot of those films, and the gags seem to work a lot better. Maybe that's what I like about it, because one of the things I hated about the last Illumination film, The Lorax, was that it was trying to be, I mean there are a lot of things, but it was trying to be kind of a Disney movie. It was trying to have songs, it was trying to be kind of what you're supposed to be if you're an animated film. Like a lot of animated films just rip off what Pixar and Disney, they are separate by the way, if you know that. And Despicable Me is kind of being more cartoonish. It's trying to be more like a Looney Tunes, more like a Saturday morning cartoon. I think the Minions, they annoy some people and some people love them. I was thinking about why am I okay with the Minions, but then if I see a movie that's ripping off the Minions, it just annoys me. And I hate that kind of character usually. The Lorax had, the animals were very Minion-esque. The brothers in Brave. Anytime I've seen that, it doesn't work. And I was thinking about, why are the Minions kind of held to a higher regard, basically? Why are people more okay with them? And why am I more okay with them? The main reason is you can't really have a Despicable Me movie without them. They're so integral to the film, and they're so wrapped up in the plot. If you cut them out, the film, I think this movie wouldn't be very long. But if you look at Brave and the Lorax, those characters basically could be cut out. They could be done in another way. They're not as essential to the tone. They're not as essential to the plot. Now, I really would not like to see an entire movie with the Minions, which I know they're planning. I think that would be too far. But as little sidekicks, they're one of the few animation sidekicks in a feature film that I actually like. Most of the time I find it to be annoying, I find it pandering, I feel like it's like, hey kids, don't you like this? They work as like really funny, like over caffeinated, kids on a sugar high kind of idea about them. I feel much more of an attachment to them than any of the Minion ripoffs I've seen since the first Despicable Me. I think they focus more on the villain in the first film than they do in this film. This film's more about Gru's relationship with Lucy, leaving the villain till like you absolutely have to have him in the third act was a good way to structure the film. And it's a good way to just build on the character. And it feels like I could see another Despicable Me movie because you're just spending a lot of time with the character. There are a couple things in the plot that when I think back on them, I was like, wait, what happened with that? They just kind of forgot about that. It's really structuring itself on character, and even jokes as being like, there's a joke about Gru and women at the beginning that's funny and touching, but it feels like just a cutaway joke, but it's like a character moment. This film gets how to do the characters and gets how to have emotional beats and everything like that while still being funny. And that's something that's really hard to do, and I think The Heat does it as well as Despicable Me 2 does it. They're kind of like simple, like almost Hanna-Barbera assembly line in their production. This is kind of more craftsmanship than auteurism that a lot of animation studios are going in. They kind of seem to know how to do that a lot better than everyone kind of repeating the success of, you know, either a Disney film with musicals or a Pixar film, you know, and this seems to be using some Pixar stuff, but kind of doing its own little silly kids movie thing. For this movie, it works very well. I like animated films a lot, but I don't like it when it appeals to the lowest common denominator of kid humor. Despicable Me 2 is probably one of the best kind of lowest common denominator kid movies. I mean, you have fart guns and such that I can think of that I would actually want to see and watch again. And I'd actually watch Despicable Me 2 again, and I think I actually prefer it to the original. So if you have seen Despicable Me 2 and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. You know...